don't know how this session was introduced on Facebook message because KK has just put it up, without asking me. But today is not a lecture, obviously. It's not really my presentation, but really, it's really for me to share what I've learned so far, and share some of my experiences, both as a theatre practitioner and a practicing Buddhist. Before I start, I'd like to just know, perhaps, if you are willing, just briefly, why you are here. Before we start, does anybody need a translation? Yeah, because we can, KK, maybe we can try to, And also, I don't mind, as I speak, if anybody needs to clarify what I say, then just stop me and then ask, what do you mean? And I'll try to clarify what I mean. So yes, I am told that some of you are from a Buddhist association here in Hong Kong.
Not actually an association, program. We learned from some managers about Buddhism application. Even for some of us, we were not Buddhists.
So it's a class in what kind of setting? In an institution, or is it like a?
It is a program consists of lectures and then volunteer works. Mainly these two areas.
Okay. So did you go and take up this class voluntarily, or was it a part of
Voluntarily.
Should be voluntarily.
As far as I know, some classmates online are recommended by the parents. They encourage them to.
It's a program and youngsters to enroll, and we need to have 2 or 3 interviews, and after the interviews we need to we can learn with a very cheap price.
So it's like a community program, because it's
You
not
can-
organized by any institution.
It is, but there is an organization linked to it, which is a Buddhist temple. But actually, the program is quite self-funded and self-sustained.
The reason I'm asking this is because I'm trying to understand how you got interested in Buddhism. Even though it is because my mom is a Buddhist, and she goes to a temple. But that is how I was introduced to Buddhism. When I was little, because all my family is Buddhist, and also it is for me to understand how you got it. What about Buddhism that interests you or not interest you? So that might be a good start for us to think about what Buddhism might be for each of us. Even if you're not Buddhist, that might even be more interesting. If you're not Buddhist, then why are you interested in learning about Buddhism or thinking about Buddhism? Would anybody like to offer? year performer? Or okay. Yeah, even if you're not a professional performer or a theatre practitioner, then you might be interested in, as a hobby or as something that you do, interested in performing or theatre. Yeah. Why are you here? If you don't mind me asking.
Maybe because of performance. Because I want to know more about performing and how he approach acting.
Okay.
So he just
Alternative so they can, as well.
I think it's very interesting to link up Buddhism and performance.
Yeah.
And also my teachers before in secondary school, and she is also a Buddhist. She owned a school in Hong Kong, named School of Everyday.
School of Everyday.
And although she was not very hard to push me to know this one, I always get those informations in
Yeah, hi. Why I'm interested here, it's interesting. I'm a Buddhist, okay, so-called still practicing, and also an art administrator. Probably like teaching music as well. So, like recently, this couple of years, I've always got chance to like participate in most of the production, art production, as well as work as well. And also Buddhist, like, it's interesting how, because to me it's quite two different things, performance and Buddhist. Performance like theater, most of them quite, the ego is quite, wow.
There we go, the big word, ego. It's
Yeah,
already come out into the
but
space. Okay.
it's while learning Buddhist, like, you have to like eliminate, I don't know if it's a good word of eliminate the ego. How to think like the values of the art value, and sometimes, it's quite interesting. I'm still thinking about it, it's like hanging around the time. Yeah, that's why I'm here.
Brilliant. Thank you. Would anybody else like to? See, I do what I do, so you pick the next person. Yeah. So I'm not the only man out here. Yeah. So
maybe because I know him,
yeah.
we're together, so
The reason I chose to go here is that we go together for some performance for a religious organization, Buddhist organization, and then I'm not a professional art administrator. I'm just a actor, a volunteer for that organization. So I did not have any experience in organizing some art performance, and then suddenly I joined the organization, and then I become a volunteer for the organization, and then I started to organize some art performance for that Buddhist organization, and then I just feel that art or performance is should have a very deep connection with Zen or deep connection with Buddhism. So I'm here is that I want to know more about how we can dissolve ourselves in performance. It's like or merge ourselves with the performance and the environment as well as the surroundings.
Next person.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Why I'm here because I'm really, status her.
sorry, my name is Shita.
Shita.
It's okay.
I just think how to, Buddhist
Slow movement. Intriguing.
I like to see some slow, the movements slow, and I think it's very beautiful. I don't know why. I just think maybe I have watched some performance on introduction about you and and I just think this is societal about this. I don't know, I'm not sure, so I just probably want to know more and more experience about this type of performance.
Okay.
Next one.
It's you.
Hello, this is Kay. I'm here because of Martin, who I think is related to the instructor here. And yeah, I'm one of the members of the so-called Buddhist Association, LCS, which is actually I don't know the topic or the theme today will be related to Buddhism. So be like this. And I didn't have much expectation. I'm just really interested in acting and theater. I'm looking for some classes about acting. So today here I'm just trying to experience and explore.
We won't go around everybody just because of the time. But yeah. Then since some of you mentioned about performance and acting, so what about acting are you interested in?
Excuse me?
What about acting are you interested in? Why are you interested in acting?
Acting to me is one fascinating performance that I've tried backstage. Those ones in the costume and makeup team in my university drama society. And I should have cast for the front stage, but I was in dancing performance at that time. So time crashes, and that's the only experience I have with theater performance. And after that, I was looking for some acting front stage classes or performance. To me, because I'm in the field of training related to some stage performance and public speech, speaking, and so forth. And I believe with the force management, I don't know quite the actual technical term of acting and body movement, I find very fascinating itself, and I believe it will help me with my other field of stage performance.
Yes, today really was a kind of organized by KK and myself having a casual chat about my two main practices, which is one is theater practitioner, so theater practice, whether that is as an actor or a director or I train actors, so actor trainer, and the other one is a practicing Buddhist. And then for my PhD, I looked at a particular part of a theater practice from a Buddhist perspective. So I was talking to KK about it, and then KK was like, oh, okay, so shall we get a group of people together who might be interested in this kind of things, you know? We know that there are other weird people other than two of us, you know? So, like, there might be more people who might be interested in this kind of things, and then share some thoughts. But obviously, I am not enlightened. I'm not an enlightened person. I'm not even a very good Buddhist practitioner. I practice every day. I'll talk a little bit about my practice in detail in a minute. I do practice every day, but I smoke, I drink, I have sex, So I don't consider myself as a very strict Buddhist practitioner. Just to give you a little idea, just a background, how I got into Buddhism is, as I mentioned briefly, my family is a Buddhist, especially my mother's side. So ever since my earliest memory, is like always seeing my mom or my grandma having their daily practice. And then I was taken to a nearby temple, a Buddhist temple, and then that's where I used to play and hang out and things like that. But I always had this, I always felt this very, very close connection. Whenever I was at a temple or whenever I stepped down to practice, I felt that, okay, I can do this. This is how I want to be, or where I want to be. So that's a very strong kind of an aspect of my life as my personal life. Theater, also very early on, I was in a school play, like most of us, our first encounter with a performance is usually in a school or kindergarten or, like a little church, Christmas production, whatever. And then I think I was one of the wicked sisters of a Cinderella. I wasn't a Cinderella, I was the wicked mother. I was the stepmother because I was always, not a Korean beauty, so I was, and then I performed it as a school play, and then ever since I was really interested in performing. Many years later, I finished my schooling back in Korea, and I moved to England to study more about theatre. And my first year undergraduate, I had an opportunity to go and observe this one particular acting class, in which the professor used 3 traditional forms in training actors, which are yoga and tai chi and karate. It's like an Indian martial art. So 3 of these put together, and he was using these meditation arts or martial arts, however you want to call them, in training actors. I had no idea except that I loved martial arts, like growing up in Korea, like I grew up watching a lot of Hong Kong films. I grew up watching a lot of martial art films. Those like 40 episode series of those martial art films. So when I first observed this class, I was like, okay, I want to do that. It's a bit like, you would sing a slow movement, and I thought, oh, that's beautiful. You don't know what it is, but I liked, or it's a bit like you're interested in movement. We don't know what it is, but it's something's kind of drawing you in. So anyway, when I was in second year, because only second year students could take this class, so I went in to take this training. So that was 2002, I think, many months ago. And ever since that, I've been practicing the training. So those are 2 primary means for myself for training. Buddhism obviously is a huge subject. And it's one of the longest, the oldest traditions in the world. I don't usually call Buddhism a religion, mainly because, if you live in English-speaking countries, religion has a certain denotations in English. So that's why I don't really call it a religion. So Buddhism is one of the oldest traditions in the world. Therefore, it has, I'm sure that some of you are aware of this, it has many, many different schools, and then many different doctrines, many different theories and practices, ways to practice. Just if we take one practice, like a meditation, there are hundreds of different ways to meditate. Millions, I'm sure, yeah. And I'm sure I can invent one right now. And then there will be another way to meditate. That is actually the beauty of meditation, I would say. But anyway, and similarly, acting is a huge area as well. For the lack of better term, both Western history of acting and Eastern history of acting. If you look at the Eastern history of acting, so we go back thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and then there are so many different approaches to acting or performance. So obviously, we can't cover that tonight. And that's partly why I asked you to share, what about Buddhism that you are interested in, or what about acting that you are interested in. Because I think it really depends on your view of what Buddhism is, and then your view of what acting is. That really depends on how we approach the practice of Buddhism and practice of acting. Many different styles of acting, many different genres of performing arts. Simplistically put, there can be a realistic acting, there can be unrealistic acting, realistic acting, unrealistic acting, many different kinds. There is a circus, there is a musical, there is a spoken drama, there is a non-verbal performance, there is a physical performance, there is, I don't know, so many. So, when I was planning for today, I thought, okay, what can be more fruitful through this session today? What can be
maybe
more interesting?
Do you previously have actually acting performance that the topic is directly related to Buddhism? How
Okay,
do you
I'll come to that. So I was planning, thank you. So when I was planning for today's sharing, I'm not going to go into any particular school of Buddhism. I'm not going to go into any particular paradigm of acting, because then it will turn into a lecture. Then it will turn into my presentation or something like that. And then, yeah, trust me, that's not going to be very interesting. So today, I decided to focus on one area that really started me thinking, doing this whole PhD about Buddhism and performance, or performance from a Buddhist perspective, which is the relationship between mind and body. Of course, because we are in a Chinese-speaking culture, sorry I cannot speak Cantonese, it would have been much easier, but we have a different approach to how we view the term mind or the body. But also live in the times that share the most dominant paradigm, which is capitalism. Yeah. So I've realized that a lot of people actually now, most of us live in a very globalized culture. So despite the differences in cultures that each of us comes from, that we are very much influenced by this globalized capitalistic approach to the relationship between mind and body. And that is also reflected in how we view and approach acting and performance. Because unlike other art forms, music or singing or painting, photography, whatever, singing may be slightly different. Actors do not have other means of expression but themselves. Does that make sense? I don't have a canvas. I don't have an instrument. I don't have costume, makeup, lighting, absolutely. But I have to do it. You know, of course, musicians have to play the instrument themselves. The painters paint themselves. But I am the one who's doing it. I am the one what is done at the same time. So already what we have is this duality, which is me. Does that make sense? It's the duality, or I would rather put it as a doubleness. So I ask you, I have this cheap trick that I always try. If I ask you to point where in the body that you think your mind is, where would you point your mind? Yes. Well, we don't have mind. Yes. Yeah. Right here. Yeah. See, it's interesting. If I do this in England, 100%. Yeah. If I do it in Chinese-speaking cultures or Korean culture, although Koreans don't speak Chinese, but we use some of the Chinese letters. Yeah. Some of them point here. It's because of the character, isn't it? Shin. Yeah. The shin, because it's also a heart, that one. But it's also interesting, these days, a lot of younger people, so those of you who pointed here, it means that you're young. And also, regardless whether they come from Chinese-speaking culture or not, it also makes difference if they speak English or not. Yeah. We won't go into the complexity of languages tonight. But and I say mine, a lot of excuse the very simplistic terms, but a lot of Asians will also point here. Mine. 99.9999% when I did this in England, 100% they point here. It's very significant, actually. Where you think that your mind dwells. Yeah. In Buddhism, as I studied it, it's neither the head nor the heart. That's the first difference that I realized about the dominant understanding of mind and Buddhist understanding of mind. Buddhist understanding of mind is not sight specific. Does that make sense? It doesn't have a one place in the body that it belongs to. Because mind is not a thing in Buddhism. It doesn't belong to anybody, nor does it have its own life. It's not a thing. It's not a substance from a Buddhist perspective. Rather, it's a process. Which already gives us a problem. Then, how do I control my mind? Or how do I develop my mind? Have you heard of this expression, to develop your mind? In English, for instance, when someone says, well, why does one go to university? Yeah, to develop your mind, they would say. It means that to become, I don't know, more clever, smarter, or I don't know, yeah, to develop mind. So already, within that expression, and then how we talk about mind, already it reflects how we view the nature of mind. We treat it as a thing, as a substance that belongs to each of us. Yeah, so you have a mind, I have a mind, and you have a mind, hopefully. Yeah, you have a mind. Yeah, and it's an individual thing. Yeah. Then that's like a body. I have this body, and you have that body, and you have the body, so on and so on. So if we approach, and that is a dominant kind of an understanding of mind and body in the last 3 or 4 centuries of the Western history of mind and body. Whether that is a scientific approach or whether that is in the arts as well, especially in terms of acting. So going back to my training, my acting training, with the martial arts and stuff. The first day, I wanted to be good. I wanted to kick high. I wanted to destroy. So I drilled. I wanted to do the split. Yeah. Yeah. I always envied dancers because I haven't got the dancer body clearly. Yeah. Yeah. But I wanted it. So I was like, yeah, because it belongs to me, I should be able to control it. Yeah. Same approach, I should be able to control my mind. Yeah. When somebody acts irrationally, we say, are you out of your mind? Yeah. I don't know if such an expression exists in techniques, but in English, it's like, put yourself together. Yeah. Are you out of your mind? Yeah. Calm yourself down. Again, what these expressions reflect is how we view the relationship between mind, body, and self, and plus feelings. Another big term, feelings and emotions. A huge term. It's such a loaded term. And if you're interested in performing arts, or if you're interested in acting, you will come to this term again and again and again. Yeah. And then there is the infamous question about acting emotions, at least in Western history of acting emotion, which goes, should the actor feel the emotion of the character, or should the actor not feel the emotion of the character?
Why should the actor feel emotion?
Because when we say, are you out of your mind, it means that he or she is acting irrationally and she or he is being emotional. which reflects that the hierarchy between mind and emotion or feelings. This only has existed in the last few hundred years. If we go back before the last few centuries, actually this hierarchy did not exist. But ever since I think probably the 17th or the early 18th century, the Cartesian dualism, you know, like the Descartes saying, I think, therefore I exist. Yeah, do we all know this? The very famous statement, yeah. The human's ability to think has gained this status which is rational, sensible, therefore more right than being irrational or being emotional or being in the heat or having feelings. That's why we say if somebody is being emotional, like, you know, we say that you're not thinking straight, yeah? Calm yourself down, you know? You can't see things clearly when you're emotional, you know? It reflects that being emotional or emotional state is unintelligent or stupid.
It's a bad thing.
It's a bad thing, yeah. Emotion is a bad thing. Yeah?
So the point is why actors shouldn't feel emotion in ourselves, because the actor will be able to control their acting.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's the reason behind why some of us.
So when that question was asked, actually if you're interested, I can give you the literature behind it. Yeah. But when this researcher asked this question, so the whole scene was divided into, it was split. So one art was that, but no, the actor should not feel emotions. The actor should always know what's going on and they always keep the cool. Yeah. The cool. Yeah. The other was like, no, the actor should feel the emotions so that it moves the audience. Yeah. They were split into
So different schools, there's a theater, there's also some theater will be explored.
some actors were more for one rather than the other, and then some actors or some directors, you know, they had their preferences. And
How about you?
huh?
How about you?
For me, very good question. For me, this question itself is completely unnecessary. Unnecessary. It's not only unnecessary, it creates more problems for the actor. Why? Because like how the dominant view of the relationship between mind and body, what it creates is the separation between body, mind, and emotions or feelings. It does not only create separation, it compartmentalizes it. Does that make sense? So I have this one drawer. In this drawer, I put my emotions and feelings. Close. The next, I put my intelligence and my brain. Close. The next, I put my body that I train. Yeah. And then there is somehow, there is me that control everything. It kind of creates this picture, doesn't it? Yeah. I know that I kind of exaggerated it, you know, and then I obviously, please don't post this
stupid video anywhere because I am so scared that anybody would say like, oh my gosh, she's talking rubbish. Yeah. But then again, I did a PhD, so it means that you can bullshit it. Yeah. But I exaggerated it. I mean, oversimplified all these things. I mean, that's a given, yeah, for tonight because we don't have a lot of time, yeah. But I don't think I am too wrong in this kind of simplified picture of the dominant view of the relationship between mind, body, and feelings. That's why, yeah. I mean, some of you are not in the practicing theatre practitioner, but say that we've heard of these stories about this method, Hollywood method actors. Like when he has this role of I don't know, not insomnia character, yeah, and then this actor that does not sleep for a week because he wants to experience what it's like.
In that role, yeah, this is it's also a typical training in performing arts school right now.
Yes.
So after they explore and through that the actor or actress, the teachers or maybe the directors, they will not help them to get out or maybe separate from that emotion. So let the actors or actress like this, and you serve yourself lah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's why that's why so many ethics students they flop and they don't know how to going on their way.
Yeah, absolutely. We've heard of all these great actors doing this kind of, taking this kind of approach to their practice. Like Dustin Hoffman is another one, like a very famous, well-known for his love of method acting. But here, I mean, without going too much into history, method acting here means American method acting. Yeah. Method acting here does not mean how Stanislavski has developed in Russia. It's an American take on Stanislavskian method acting. But I just want to mention that, just to clarify, because it is a very, very important point. But anyway, so going back to my interest in this relationship, it's so okay. So I want to train myself to become an actor. So now, what do I train? Yeah, I train my body. I can do dance, whatever, gymnastics, martial arts. I can read to develop my mind. But then again, without a clear understanding of how those things come together, I will not be able to work systematically. And my interest as the actor and director, or especially actor trainer, my interest is in developing a systematic approach to performing a role, regardless of a genre, regardless of an acting style. What I mean by systematic approach is primarily two things. It gives me a form of training, so I can repeat, so that I know if I'm improving. Yeah. And also, it gives me a very specific things that I can do when I come into a rehearsal. So I don't go and wait for my inspirations to fall. today it's not gonna come. Okay. That's when yeah. Because I had those. And quite frankly, I'm very bored of those approaches. Just a little bit of a personal experience. I'm very frustrated. I was, very frustrated, and sometimes I still am. That's why I don't to calm myself. When people talk for hours about the characters or my vision as a director, or like what we should do and then how this character should feel and then, what kind of a set we should have, what kind of a message that we should share with the audience. Fair enough. Now show me. Or like suggest the way that I can do it. Yeah. It's the same thing. When I was going to temples, when I was a little, I was just there, just playing, because I was still quite young. I was playing. But I was interested in, talking to some monks there, and then go and sit in their talks, and reading about, later when I was in school, reading about this Buddhist teachings and stuff. And then, vast diversity, like different kinds of writings, isn't it? All the ways of talking about Buddhism. It's fair enough in what kind of state that we should ideally be in as a Buddhist. Yeah? You can talk about the final state. Yeah? How we should be. Okay, so how can I get there? That's what I'm interested in, Okay, so I want to be calm. I don't want to get frustrated. I don't want to get upset. All these things, fair enough. So, okay, now, what can I do now? Yeah. So, both practice, in both of my practice in Buddhism and in theater practice, I want to know how I can get there. Yeah. It's difficult enough knowing the steps. It's difficult to do the steps. But if you don't know the steps, might as well just forget it, It's like, no chance. Yeah. And of course, there are many different ways to get there. There are many different routes to get there. I'm not saying that this is the only route, but at least it gives me something that I can try. It's something concrete, something tangible. So, going back to the relationship between mind, body, and emotions. I'll talk, so one kind of an acting experience, just as an example to elaborate how this Buddhist understanding of the mind-body relationship can be applied to the context of acting. So, as we know, there are many different forms, genres, or styles of acting. But we know that probably the most common is the one that we see the actual characters. Yeah. There are performances that we don't see such a thing as a character. There are some plays that have no names. Yeah. But I think it is fair to say that probably the most common kind of genre is like a character-based acting. Whether that is in theater, performing arts, or on TV, or on screen. So which means that there is this actor and there is this character. And somehow I am, as the actor, I am to become the character. And then as an audience, like how we talk about what we've just seen, yeah, a the actor's performance. How do you normally talk about other people, the actor's performance, whether it's from film or from play or from TV drama, what do you consider as a good actor? Yeah, it's another huge question. But I think it might be fair to say that sometimes, as we leave the cinema or as we leave the theater, we say, oh my God, that actor disappeared. The actor was the character. Yeah, it's like the character or another thing. The character, I believed in that character. Yeah, it's like the character is so believable. Yeah, it's like, or if we follow the same actor, then we see a different performances of the same actor, and then we sometimes say, wow, such a change from the previous acting or previous role. Yeah, how can you have such a change? Same person, many different characters, and each time he or she plays, she's so different. So when this particular project that I'm going to share with you today, it's probably the most text-based characteristic acting, character-based acting that I've done since the Cinderella. But we'll forget about that. In my acting career, it was an adaptation of Jean Genet's The Maids. It's a French play. And then I was playing a maid, one of the maids. But we didn't do the play of the maids. The director kind of adapted it. So in this original play, as it was written by the playwright, there are two maids, and then one madame. So madame has two maids, and the two maids serve madame. And there is this mysterious man who's you. Yeah, it's a French name. But in this adaptation of the play that I performed was 5 sets of maids and madames. So we had 5 groups of triplets. Does that make sense? So we had 10 maids and 5 madames. We had no Rosie. Rosie doesn't actually appear. Yeah. What happened is that we are all on the stage throughout the performance. And then actually we are all playing. So I'm just talking about maids because that was my role. What happens is we are actually playing the same character. So when I say 5 sets, we are sharing the character. So it's not 5 separate maids.
So it's story.
No, because
Storyline to continuous.
yes.
with
So we
different
are
types
all
of-
on the same stage throughout. Yeah. So it's not like oh, you take today, I'll perform tomorrow. Yeah. Or it's not even like we've
For one play, separate 5 different times set.
yeah, simultaneously. Yeah. Plus, we don't know which bit of the text that we are going to perform for that night's show. The director is there calling through the microphone, stage 3. If I'm stage 3, I take from the previous line, I continue. Yeah. Yeah, complete acting. Yeah. Yeah. And then we don't know, the director doesn't know in which order that he's going to call. It is completely just, as he feels it, random. He thinks that he had the, I mean, that's what I would think he did. But or sometimes, so the stage is like, I'm sorry that I haven't got video material because it wasn't my show, that I don't have the copyright to the play. So the stage there, so if the audience is at that end, the stage is like that. So we had the backstage was raised a little bit, and then 3 sets of maids, madame, and then offstage, downstage, downstage was the 2 sets. So 2 maids and madame, 2 maids and madame. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The directors of the band in the audience holding. So it's not only that I don't know that when I'll go, it's also I might not play to my madame. You with me? Not the madame that is in my set, in my triplet. It could be madame over there, or it could be my sister maid over there. So it's not always the triplets play together, because we don't know when in the text that director will hold. So I might, if she was my sister maid in my triplet, we might be having a conversation, but if the director breaks, then somebody else will respond to my saying, then I have to go, or then another mother, like that. Okay, so is that, does that give you a clear idea of the whole thing?
So you were running around.
No, that's another thing. Another thing is common. 2 more things. Not only that we have 5 triplets, we have 2 people, 2 actors, who are only allowed to move across the 5 stages. We are not allowed to go outside our playing area. So I'm confined, within that little. But there are 2 actors who can move. But they are not the characters of the play. They're like spectators. But if they choose to, they can come into my play area and then speak through me, interfere with me.
It means spontaneous acting.
But with the lines, the set lines. So it's none of this is like an improvisation. It's all set. There is a text. That's what I mean. So even though this is not a realistic setting, it is text-based, and the text is character-based. It's only that characters are played, shared by number of actors. So my task as the actor was obviously you have to learn the lines completely. You have to learn the lines anyway, in any performance. But then again, if I forget, the consequences are more damaging, actually, in this kind of setting. But then yeah. But that's a given. We try to learn that. Yeah, we learn the lines, and you know, again, in a generalized manner, you know, speaking, usually when you play a role, a character or figure, whatever you call it, you have your journey. Yeah. Whether that is a movement, yeah, walking, yeah, how you move through the space, or whether that is an emotional journey that you know yourself as the actor. I call that a score. Yeah, it's like a musical score. Yeah, you know what to do. You know what you're going to do. You know whether it's speaking, whether it's a movement, whether it's actually just looking. You know exactly what you're going to do, because then those shape your performance. And by accumulation of those things that you do, that hopefully the audience gets the sense of who you are, yeah, or who you're performing, or what you're performing, yeah. So it's a continuous journey. Only that in this kind of setting, I cannot have a control over that. Because although we share the same text, I might choose to speak a certain line in a loud voice, because in that point of that drama, it makes sense to me to speak that line in a loud voice. But someone else may speak in a very, 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 very quiet voice. Then what it does to me, in relation to this character that I am playing, it changes completely, doesn't it? My journey is I kind of planned it, yeah? But my plan doesn't exist, you know? I don't have control over that. Then the character itself can become something completely different to the one that I've kind of shaped. Then what do I do? Yeah, take it. Yeah, take it, and then you send it. Yeah. Okay, then what does this kind of setting require of the actor? Do you know what I'm asking? Spontaneity. Okay. Spontaneity. Okay. Observation, attention.
Always prepared.
Senses. Yeah. Open sensory awareness. Yeah.
Always be prepared.
Prepared. Yeah. Focus on yourself and on the environment. Excellent. Okay.
And the core of the character. The core of the character.
The core of the character. How do you mean?
Which means no matter what point to you, that you have the core or the central point of the character shape, and you can respond everything from that foundation.
But that core may not match what the other actors have given me. Oh, and then I forgot to mention that actually in this production that there are 6 different languages in school. So there was Mandarin, there was Korean, there was Welsh, there is English, there is Greek, and then
So you have 5 different sets of actors.
they were not divided according to the languages they were speaking. No.
So within the one single play, different actors speak a different
Yes.
language.
Yeah.
So you are not maybe let's
I
not say that
only know
language.
that if she just spoke these lines.
So actually not responding to other actors. You are actually just performing your lines according to the sentence.
Okay, that's a good question. It's a very fine. So again, the reason that I'm sharing this particular example is not to you know, to say that how difficult it was, you know, how great that was. You know, it's not that. Yeah, it's not that. It is. I'm sharing this example because I think it is a good example to demonstrate how the actor, or from a Buddhist perspective, how one views the self and the other, the inner and the outer, the subject and the object. Yeah. Now you get more or less what I'm getting at. Yeah. If I put it like that, it's very simple. But as Becca says, it's the simple that it complicates. Yeah. So if I, you know, going back to your observation, you know, okay, core of the character. But then what is the core of the character? You know, that character that I am playing speaks simultaneously to thinking different languages. Sorry, excuse my French. Yeah. It depends on how you view what the core of the person is. Is it not? Yeah? What is the essence of the person? What is the essence of me or the self? There is no one answer. That's why going back to the beginning of this, you know, tonight's sharing, I opened it as like, you know, this is not the one way, you know. It really depends on how you view the world, how you view the human being, yeah, or how you view what acting is. Yeah. So for me, because I was taking it from a Buddhist perspective, and also because of given the challenges that I had in this particular setting of a performance, the context of a performance, I had to really rethink about, okay, where does me start and where does the other start? I know it can sound very pretentious, but really, that's what it is. Because during our rehearsals, me being me, you know, I got frustrated, like, no, you shouldn't speak the line like that. Yeah. It's like, no, that's not how I gave you the line. Yeah. It's like, you got it wrong. Yeah. It's like, yeah, how can the character, yeah, in this scene talk like that? Yeah. So I told you, you know, it's like, yeah. Yeah. But I don't have a control over that. Who am I to say that my way or my interpretation is the core of the character? Isn't it? If the director doesn't say anything, I can't say anything. Yeah. So somehow I have to negotiate them. Yeah. And in order to negotiate that, what do I have to have? It's like, you know, you've already said what is required. Open awareness is a huge thing. Of course, in any performance, it requires open awareness. Yeah? But especially so because I have no idea when on earth I'm gonna go. Yeah? Yeah, somebody said something about focus, you know, like attention. Yeah, absolutely have to be present all the fucking time, sorry. Yeah, because if I lose 1 second, then I have no idea, you know, when in the performance I'm in. Yeah, especially if the previous movement was being played in a different language, I have no idea what that person just said. Yeah. So absolutely, 100%. You know, like in performance, we always talk about being present. Yeah. Yeah, like this is the, yeah. So, and also, then what do you take it? Yeah, because if I'm too concerned about having the sense of continuity of their character, then it's easy for me to lose the dynamics of the character. Are you with me? The actor before me in the previous minute might have played in a certain tone or certain dynamics. Yeah, I tend to call emotions dynamics, but yeah. But then when I take that, because the director holds my stage and then it's my turn, if I'm too worried about not being so different, because we're supposed to be the same character, yeah. Yeah. If I'm too concerned about having this sense of the same character, the whole performance might be, it might lose the dynamics. Yeah.
So what do you take from your previous actor or the scene you're setting in? So what do you take and what do you have in mind?
Well, one thing that you have to have is what is shared among the group is that through rehearsal process, we more or less have shared and then decided that the overall journey of the piece. Yeah. So it's not that 5 triplets have 5 different interpretations. Yeah.
So one compromised principles or
For example, like whether to put it very simplistically. For example, we more or less during rehearsals, and also because we also with the director, we more or less said, okay, so what's the journey of the dynamics of the piece? Yeah. It doesn't mean that actually determines each moment of a performance, but we more or less know the journey through the performance. So you have that already. But also what you take and then how you keep the journey, the overall journey. Yeah, it's not because you are thinking about it. It's because it's manifest in a moment, from a moment to a next. Yeah. So again, I am not controlling it. I'm not trying to keep the overall journey of the piece. You with me? I'm not thinking about it. If I'm thinking about it, I can't do it. So what the other actor has just done, through my open awareness, and then also through, it's almost like focus on yourself, yeah, and then focus on the environment. Actually, they are not two opposite things. Yeah. So having myself grounded is absolutely a must. Because what I hear is this ocean of information. I don't know where in the space. I'm not even including the audience. Yeah. And don't forget that two actors moving about, I don't know what they're doing. Like the two actors just walking around, yeah. And then the director speaking from a microphone. Yeah. Microphone already creates a different layer. So I get this gust of information. Yeah. And then if I need to take something and then do my lines and then send it away, I have to be grounded. Absolutely. Yeah. Otherwise I'm lost. Because I'm washed away. Yeah. I'm overwhelmed by this different voices. Yeah. Or different languages or whatever. So you have to be grounded. But at the same time, through being grounded, you can open your awareness. Yeah. Because if you think that if you have that sense of being grounded, then you're not afraid of being moved. It's only when the actor is insecure, I need to insist on my thing, because I cannot afford to be moved, because I don't know what's going to happen, because I'm scared. But if I'm being grounded, okay, bring it on. Let's see what happens.
So, on what base you ground yourself on? On what base?
On what base?
Yourself?
What do you mean on what base? On the ground. Okay, so this project, also another reason that I'm sharing this project in example, is also because how I apply actually my Buddhist practice in this creative process. I actually call this process as a meditative mode of acting. So meditative as in, like a meditation, yeah? But obviously I'm not during the performance meditating, I cannot do that, yeah? But what I mean by meditative mode of acting is a quality of awareness that I'm applying to perform this character in this particular context of a performance. It's like, I have to know what is going on with me, with my immediate, the most immediate environment, yeah, which is my immediate partners, my other maid and my madam. And I have to know what's going on in the space. But also, I have to know what's going on inside of me. Inside of me here, I'm not referring the psychology. I'm actually referring the physiological, the inner world, what I call, yeah, the dynamics that's happening. So someone asks, so what do you take, yeah? What do I take? I hear a voice. And then when something is met, yeah, so my sensory awareness, so this time is the auditory awareness. I hear her say, okay. Then I know how that resonates within me and what that felt sense is. And that's another information. If I choose to go with that in a split second, that's how I send my voice. But also, I have to know when to shut up, because then the next line might not be mine. Yeah? That's another challenge. Not taking on when I'm called, but how do I stop and not stop at the same time? Because when it's not my turn to play, I can't just be there like this. Yeah? Because I'm on the stage all the time. Yeah? You cannot just be there waiting for the bus. Yeah? Just like, it's like, you still have to have, you are playing inside. Yeah? So the whole duration of the performance, you are actually playing, but it doesn't externally manifest. But when we do a good job, the actors, that's what also the other actors take from each other. Yeah? Not just to what can be seen or what can be heard, but it's also that energy that is accumulated, yeah, throughout space. So I can keep the sense of the journey through the performance. If I'm trying to think, okay, this time, oh, she's really upset, or this time she's really happy. No, I can't do that. this state in terms of, the notion of no self or self. Yeah. All those are very familiar terms to Buddhists. Yeah. And how you, and also it depends, I don't know how many of you actually practice meditation, but again, in a very generalized way, there are two, I don't think I'll be too wrong to say there are two most common kind of approaches to meditation. One is like vipassana, it's like where you monitor your body and then try to see what's happening physically and then sensory awareness and things like that. And the other one is called a focused meditation, right? Where you are actually focused on one thing and then the purpose is that you actually the rest disappears. So those are the two kind of most commonly practiced at the moment meditations, or approaches to meditation. So in this acting process, I actually have to have a little bit of of course, as I said, I'm not enlightened, and I'm not a very advanced meditator. No, my meditation is a very basic. My experience in meditation is very basic, and I don't follow one teacher. I don't follow one school. Yeah, I've done many retreats, but it's not that I follow one exact style. I have a set of practice that I do every day, but so some people might object, no, it's not a Buddhist meditation that you're doing, fair enough, I don't know. But I'm not interested in being a Buddhist meditator. I'm interested in what meditation can do for people. I said it. So, when you are only consumed by what is you, then it can become more difficult for you to be spontaneous, or flexible, or be open-minded. And if you think that your body is something that you control with your bright mind, then there is so much that you can, there's only this much that you can actually do. See, if we take it, if we view what this self means from a Buddhist perspective, the self or no self, actually there are two different ways of calling the same thing. Self or no self. And then how Buddhist understands it, regardless of all these different schools, there are little differences here and there, is that there is not a self that is absolutely separate and independent of the other things around it. You look very lost. I know, that is the beauty of Buddhism. And then also there is a criticism of Buddhism. Sometimes they think that it's just a matter of playing with words. Let me give you another. One of the Buddhist practitioners very, very curious again mind. Yeah. And one of the theories that he talked about in his writing is actually, if I translate into English, it's a same, different theory. It's a dong-yi. Yeah. So dong is in same, yi is in different, non is in discourse. It's the same, different discourse. So I don't know if you Google it, you might be able to see it. In that discourse, the way that he sees so-called opposite concepts, yeah, the same and different, it's very interesting. And then I think it reflects how the Buddhism actually sees everything. So in that discourse, what it says, see if I can do this. It's very good. One does not mean not to.
One does not mean not to.
Not to. And
One.
two does not mean rupture of one. Can you explain it again? I told you the last one. I know. It took me years to understand it. Yeah. So one, in the way I understand it, again it's my so the way I understand it is that one and two are not different. Yeah.
Does that mean one is not like different to
No, actually the importance is actually, and that's why I focused on his writing, because it's the way that he writes. Because he didn't just write one and two are the same. No. See, that would be easier.
By two, he means duality or manyness.
No. Even if we just take it as a one and two, yeah, so
It's
something is
numerical
one and then
number,
two
one and
pieces.
two.
Yeah. So, yeah, even if it is just in that simple context, the reason that he didn't say that one and two are not the different, yeah, that he specifically wrote it in this way. One does not mean not two. What he's doing is actually playing with negation. Yeah, it's like he's playing with how we usually see these things subjectively and objectively. So like all the same and different. That's why his discourse is called a same and different discourse. Yeah, because he's looking at the relationship between same and different. Whether that is me is same as me is different from her, or one is less than the two, or two is not the one, in whatever the context, yeah. So it can be applied to, many different contexts. And what he actually says is how a self or anything, when in Buddhism, when they talk about a being, they don't only mean animated things, they also mean non-animated things. Yeah, not just life, yeah, but non-animated things. Yeah, they say that the energy is there, but it's just dormant. Yeah, it's just not manifested, but it is there. Because if you recall, I said mind is not a substance, body is not a substance. That is the substantial, the aspect of a substance. Because we have the flesh, we have the blood, we have other liquids. Yeah. But this flesh does not equal my body. But they are not two. Yeah. So if I apply that, in a very techy way, if you know this term, in a very simplistic way, to my creative process of acting that name, that character, in this context, in that production. If I see that character as my character, yeah, and I would fall into that, you know, like, no, you cannot say that line like that, yeah. It's like, that's not the journey of this character, yeah. But if I deny that it's my character, I fall into the same thing. So it's not when the Buddhist doctrines say no self, yeah, or emptiness, yeah, or whatever the, you know, a lot of Buddhist terms are playing with negation, yeah, like no.
On the wall?
This.
But.
Yeah.
No.
No. It's like a no or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a negation. Yeah. So a lot of Buddhist terms are like this. You know, like emptiness or no self or like or rumination, something. Yeah. But it is actually not that. Emptiness does not mean that it is empty. No self does not mean that there is not. Yeah? One does not mean not two. The two does not mean rupture of one. Yeah? So if I think that, okay, I cannot just insist on my score as the actor, if I think that, I cannot fulfill either. But equally, if I only insist on that, I also cannot. Well, yeah. I can do it, but very badly. Yeah. And sometimes I do it very badly. Yeah. So that was my challenge that I gave myself in this particular creative process. And that's why I called it a meditative model training. Both in terms of the theoretical contextualization, that how I viewed my task or challenge, and how I approached in practice. So when I do my meditation, I practice both open focus and single focus. So I did that. So I try to understand, apply that practice to the creative process. Plus, you know, my other training, that with the pre-performative training, psychophysical training. Whether it was successful or not, that's not for me to say, yeah. But it was an exploration, and it's one example of how these two seemingly unrelated areas are actually very helpful together in a Buddhist performance. And it's all, you know, like because I also direct and I also do a dramaturgy. It really is about, you know, if I repeat myself, it really is about how one views how things come together. You know, it really comes down to that. Because what we do at the end of the day, performance, when we put something on stage, or you know, if we do it in here, you know, wherever the stage might be, it really is about how we make something manifest, isn't it? Whether it's a character, whether it's a world of this play, yeah. Then we have to understand, well, we have to have our own approach or take on how this world is manifest. Yeah. It really comes down to that, I think. And I think in that sense, Buddhism can be very helpful, as I said, in both to give you a kind of theoretical contextualization, or to give you actually the practical steps that you can do. But all of this, again, is based on how I view that how life becomes, more manifest. Because in Buddhism, unlike in Christianity, that Buddhism doesn't view life as a creation. Buddhism views life as manifestation. And manifestation means a process. So I don't create a character. I'm not Jesus. I cannot create a life, or I cannot create a world of my performance. Another thing the Buddhism does is that, so then when does something manifest? Very simple. When all the appropriate conditions are met together. So, as a theatre practitioner, what I try to do, I try to create or try to shape those conditions so that something might manifest as a result. At the same time, am I in a control? Yes. Am I not in a control? Yes.
That's the thing.
You can call me a facilitator. So, but this is all very easy to say. Yeah. Actually, it's not easy. It took me years to understand. Yeah. But then, what do we do? Yeah. Whether you are interested in practicing Buddhism, whether you are interested in practicing performance, as Buddhists say, just live the present moment. Do what you can do now. Yeah. Don't worry about, the vision of the director. Yeah. Just do what you do now. Yeah. Because that's what happens. This is something that we do in each moment. That's what happens. So I think, oh my God, I bored you enough. So on that note, I think I'll shut up. And if any of you have any thoughts that you would like to share or any doubts, please carry on. Yeah, thank you very much for listening to my mumbling. Yeah, but really, don't post that. Yeah.
Just circle
Thank
it
you.
around us.
No, I'm just joking. Do whatever you like. Whatever. Yeah.
May I share something about I have a show last 2 years. My character is a bird. Because just speak a little bit.
大聲少少，講大聲啲。
Before the performance, I have seen the bird is crashed by a car. Then I saw something happening. It's quite amazing. There's a cloud of bird around the bird.
Dead one.
Yeah. All of them didn't afraid the car and all together and staying with that bird.
Yeah.
So after that, I have begun to treat myself as a bird. My emotion and totally concentrate on that and my character. And there's so many other performers. I watch their movement on the stage. They are very emotion too. And acting, I watched before the situation and the movement. I totally choose myself as the body and the mind also totally consent.
Focused on that. Yeah.
At that moment, I'm not a human being. I'm a girl.
Yeah. But I'm sure that you are a human being at the same time too. Yeah. But I know what you mean. Yeah. You know, when you, those of you who have an experience of performing, yeah, and then those of you who've had a very good experience of a performance sometimes, you know. Yes, you have that sense of being actually somewhere else. Yeah. But at the same time, you have such clarity that you are actually there. Yeah. See, that's how I sometimes know if I am actually indulging myself or not. And somebody mentioned about ego. Yeah. We cannot avoid, you know, if I don't have an ego, you know, then I'm not human being. Yeah, ego, it is a part of us. But I don't have to be controlled by it. That's the big difference. Yeah. So, yeah, I understand. You know, you're like somehow you don't have the separation, isn't it? Yeah. Somehow you have this experience when you are so focused on something and yet you're so open at the same time. It's actually a very, I would say, it's a very similar state of being. You're so grounded on this one spot, and yet you hear, it's distant in memory. You feel like you're there. Yeah. And yet you can sense the sole of your foot touching the floor at the same time. Yeah. So yeah, I think I can understand what you have experienced. Thank you.
Here I have some sharing. As a student studying drama, and I got a lot of opportunities to play, to be character, perform, and there's always a doubt inside my mind. Is that what I'm doing is just not. That's not what I can call it as my life journey, life goal. Just like when I watch I'm not discriminating commercial theater. Sometimes I watch the commercial theater, I would think, this is not the thing I want to totally devote myself into. Where is that thing I want to devote myself totally in? And there's some moment, just like his sharing, is some moment in acting, in theater, when you are very you're tasting life, then there's some moment you will touch yourself or so-called soul, and those moments you will be fulfilled, and not by ego to be famous or to be you're a good show, very good at education. Not for this like a party thing. That is the meaning and what acting can bring to me. But just very few moments, and mostly it's not in the performance, mostly in the acting class. Those situations, environment without judging, without win or lose. And so that's why I come here for this chat today. Is there Buddhism or what religion can bring me to that bigger goal, and not just for myself ego, to control me, to push me on the stage and push all the lies come up from above. and yeah, this is what I'm searching for, and what form need so-called religion, not religion. Form Dharma.
Dharma, yeah.
Dharma is bigger than performing, bigger than performance.
Bigger than yeah. Right. Well, keep searching. Yeah. You know, different people perform for different reasons, and you know, the same person over the course of their life, if they manage to stick to it, they, you know, at different phases in their life, they perform for different reasons. So there is not one answer. I think for me, you know, it's also related to like how we talk about the state of like becoming one with the so-called the other, yeah, whether that's a character or your experience of you know, being touched or touching others in acting class. And in some other contexts, you know, in martial arts as well, and or meditation arts as well, what happens is, I think it can be described as all the boundaries. Yeah, this boundaries kind of disappear. Actually, what one you also said, you know, about that same different thing, yeah, and then about one thing does not mean not true. He actually gave another analogy. It's about it's like a gate. If there is a gate between two spaces, yeah, gate means there are, you know, more than one space, isn't it? But if the gate is open, it's a continuation or manifestation of one. If the gate is closed, yeah, it's also a continuation, manifestation of two. Yeah. So it's a bit like that. And then when we open the gate, when we close the gate, that's up to us, isn't it? Or sometimes it just happens to us. In the case of love. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe it sometimes when you sense this genuine exchange or encounter, yeah, you feel fulfilled, isn't it? Because in everyday life we can hardly experience this kind of encounter. Yeah. And I think that's well, for myself, that it's one of the reasons that I enjoy performance. You know, like meet people. Yeah, and then I completely let the guards down. I offer myself. Yeah, I'm not at service of anyone, but I offer myself for an exchange. good performance, yeah, because it's seldom we see a good performance. It's actually an occupational hazard, you know. It's like because you're in this profession, you know, you always find something that you criticize about performance, yeah.